Welcome to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that puts you right in the heart of women's hockey. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and each week I'm on a mission to showcase the incredible women who are lighting up the ice across the globe. Get ready as I chat with rising stars, seasoned pros, and all the game changers making waves in the world of women's hockey that you won't find anywhere else. So, let's dive into the exciting world of women's hockey and make sure to click that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today I am excited to be joined by Bri Eid, a defender with Long Island University in the NCAA. Bri, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I always love to start off these conversations, especially as this is your first time on the show. First of many, I know. With your origin story. So
Yeah.
could you talk a little bit about what it was about hockey that kind of drew you to the sport?
Yeah, for sure. So I have three older sisters and all of them figure skated. So my mom was like, obviously you're gonna figure skate too, but I didn't like it like at all. And my mom's like, what's wrong with this kid? Like I had three older ones who are figure skating. So yeah, I really didn't like it. And there was like rink A, which was like figure skating, and then rink B was like all the hockey. And I'd kind of always like sneak off there and I'd like watch the hockey. And then I made my mom a deal. I was like, I'll figure skate if I can wear hockey skates. And she was like, fine. And then eventually that led to me just like getting into hockey. And my dad kind of was like convincing my mom, like, let's just throw her in hockey instead.
What were some of those things that you kind of took away from that, from your experience as a figure skater as well?
Yeah, I think like a lot of really good hockey players were figure skaters, like Sidney Crosby figure skated. I think it's just like being fast, being good on your edges, and obviously skating is a huge part of the game. And if you can be a good skater, like it's easier to succeed more, I guess.
Okay, and what was it about defense? Was there ever a moment where you were like, you know what? No, I'm going to be a forward. I'm going to be a goal. Or was it like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going in, I'm going in, and it's defense or bust?
Yeah, I was actually forward like my whole life until um my last season of junior hockey with Southwest. My sister was on my team and she was a defenseman. I was a forward, and she tore her ACL, and we had like another guy who was sick and then another injury. So our coach was like, hey, someone's got to go play D. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll do it. Like, sure. And ever since then, like I've just been D. Like I did that season of Southwest forward/D, and then when I got to LIU, I committed as like a forward/D. And even when I was a freshman, I played some forward games, but mostly D. And then I think sophomore year was like the first year where I was like, okay, I'm 100% a defense. But it's funny because like my teammates and like my coaches too, they chirp me all the time. They're like, Bri, like you're not a forward, like you are a defenseman, like you know that, right? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm a D. So
What was it like to finally commit to being a defender, being on defense? What is that like? And maybe how does that also help to maybe shape your game? Because now you don't have to worry necessarily about having to think about both positions,
yeah, for
more
sure.
specifically like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like to your point, it definitely does help like only having one. Like I remember some games where you're a freshman and you have to like, because freshman year I was playing both, so you have to like mentally prepare for both kind of sides of the game. But yeah, no, it's definitely easier focusing on one position. And honestly, I absolutely love it. And especially in this generation of like offensive defensemen, like right now it's like Lane Hudson and Quinn Hughes is my favorite player, and watching Kale McCarr and stuff like that. Those guys like make me want to just be a D. And yeah, I love it.
Well, yeah, and especially having that sort of forward background as well. Like when you take that mentality, that scoring mentality, but also layered in with being a defender, I'm sure it must, with that mentality, does that kind of shape how you approach your own game as well?
Um, I think so. I mean, I would definitely consider myself an offensive defenseman. Like, I like to contribute. I think that's kind of what differs me from the rest is I can pitch in. And I try and pitch in as much as I can offensively, but um that's kind of the next step now is like just making sure like I'm can be reliable and I'm trustworthy and like just an all around good defenseman.
Of course, yeah. And you've mentioned obviously early on, especially the impact that family had on you, right? And I always like to talk about family because I think it's one of those aspects of a player's career that maybe not, people may not have a chance or an opportunity to learn more about because, we're just like, we're fans. We just see what's
Yeah.
on the ice. We get may hear some cool interviews, post game or what have you, but not necessarily have the opportunity to highlight how much family impacted you. So could you maybe, just share your own personal experiences and how your family has helped you, especially early on, but throughout your career now that you're in the collegiate level as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now in the collegiate level, family's huge. It means the world to me, and I'm extremely blessed to have such a good family. Like I said, I had three older sisters and two amazing parents, and now I even have nieces and nephews. So it's incredible, and I'm so lucky to have my own little support system. You know, they watch all of my games and text me after every game. They come out to the island too as much as they can. So yeah, I'm extremely thankful to have them in my corner, and it's something I don't take for granted for sure.
Specifically with women's hockey, there are a lot of challenges that each athlete has to overcome. And I wanted to hear a little bit more about maybe some of those specifics, those challenges that you felt you've had to face in order to get to where you are and also to stay positive about what could be next for you.
Yeah, I think that pressure is a big thing. Um, I know like a lot of athletes deal with that once you see success, like once you have a good season or a good game, there's pressure, and pressure comes with success. You want to have a good season again, or you want to have a good game again, and uh, dealing with pressure has been a little bit of a challenge. But I think just trying to turn it into a positive, like thinking back to when I was a kid, like how lucky am I to be in the position I am now? Like this is all I've wanted. So just turning it into like something positive has helped me. And an off the ice challenge I think is being away from home. You know, we've been talking about family a bit, and now that I have nieces and nephews, like one of them is 2 and one of them is 6 months old. So it's like I can't really, pick up the phone and call on them or text them. Um, so it's challenging to not be able to watch them grow up and watch them say their first words or walk for the first time. It's difficult to not be a part of that. But like I said, like they visit when they can and like I go home when I can. But I think that's definitely an off the ice challenge for me.
How do you think the being away from home, not being able to necessarily experience those firsts, those incredible moments with your family, but also knowing that you're growing, that you're doing your thing, that you're doing what you love, how do you think that's helped to shape you both on and off the ice?
I think it's helped shape me in a lot of ways. Obviously, being away from home helps you grow as a person and just helps you become more independent and figure out a lot of things earlier than you know someone would if they are still at home. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to know as you have, got to this point in your career, fourth years we've mentioned, ready, almost, embarking on, thinking about what that next step might be for you. Think back for a second here. Who were some of those role models? Who were some of those influences that you've had? And this doesn't have to necessarily just be hockey players, although I'm sure
Yeah.
that list is pretty long. But who were some of those influences and role models on you throughout your career?
Thinking back when I was younger, it was uh my favorite player was Alex Ovechkin. Like my room was like full Washington Capitals. I had an OV fat head, and yeah, I just love to watch him. Like obviously he's super exciting, he still is, but um he was definitely my favorite player. And then somebody that I looked up to was Megan Augusta. Obviously she's won a handful of gold medals, and she's local. She's from the Leamington area, which is where my dad works. So he sponsored her, which when she was growing up playing hockey. So I've had the opportunity to meet her um, a couple times as I was growing up, and I loved those moments. Like it was awesome. So she's definitely someone I looked up to.
Like you're a role model for so many people, so many young girls now, as they aspire to, they're now starting to see there's a real
Yeah.
path for them to make this a career. What does it feel like for you to now be in that role model position?
Honestly, it means a lot to me, especially growing up. Like when I was a little girl, the Windsor Lancers, like the college hockey team in my hometown, like when I got to go to their games and like shake their hands or get a fist pump or get a puck, like it made my week. So the fact that there's girls that I'm signing pucks for after games, and giving a high five and just talking to, it's really special to be able to be in this place. And I feel very lucky and very honored to be able to be in the position that I'm in.
What has it meant for you to be able to connect with the community and just to speak with them and speak with these fans and just learn from them?
Yeah. Um Honestly, I think LIU does a really, really good job at getting us players like into the community, and doing things like volunteering or um, showing up at like the Lady Islanders practices and stuff like that. Um, but it's great for us to be able to be a part of that and give back to our community. Um, yeah, it's great. And even like some things I can think of, like coaching the Lady Islanders, and then they come to our games, and it's like builds a little sense of community.
Yeah, so talk a little bit more about that. What was that? What was that experience like being able to coach?
It was pretty cool. It was not this year, but my junior year, before the season started, myself and a couple other teammates volunteered at Lady Islanders. They had like a week camp, which was pretty cool because it wasn't like, we were just volunteering for an hour. Like we spent all day, all week with these girls. So you got to get to know them a little bit more and see their personalities, and talk to them and what they do outside of hockey and stuff like that, and build relationships with them, which is pretty special.
Oh, that's so amazing. And it's just a great opportunity to, inspire that next generation.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more like you had mentioned, getting like, going to games and getting those pucks or, those
Yeah.
things that like it feels like such a small thing in that moment, but it makes such a
Yeah.
lasting impression.
Yeah, it's crazy. There was like girls standing where we walk out of, and you're dialed like it's in a game, and I was like walking out, and it's like, oh no, 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 Bri, like put your hand up, like because like that was you. And it's like thinking about that, it's like no, 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 like get your hand up there, because like it'll mean a lot to a little kid. But it is weird to think about, because it's like now it's like we're like just college hockey players, but when you're younger, like you don't see it as that. You're like superheroes to them, which is funny to think about, but it's true.
Yeah, I was going to say that you're not, you may, in your mind, you may think of yourself as just a college hockey player, but in their mind, it's like, this is, this is a role model. This is like,
Yeah.
this is the cream of the crop. This is like, this
Yeah.
is where I want to go. And you're just like, oh, right, I
Yeah.
got to like, I got to make sure, sign autographs. But again, it's like, it's just those little things that just make such a lasting impression on
Yeah.
these young girls, right?
For sure. It really is wild. Like, one of our alumni who graduated last year, Kaylee Campbell, she's a coach now, in Connecticut, coaching. I want to say they're like 12U, and a lot of them, their dream is to be like an LIU Shark when they get older, which is like, it's so wild for her to hear that because she's like, yeah, like I did that for 4 years or 5 years, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about as well, like, going back a few years before you went to LIU. I want to know, specifically in your final season with the Southwest Wildcats, you were an assistant captain. And I
Yeah.
wanted to know, first of all, what was it like to to have that letter on your jersey?
Of course, like going back, I think that was 4 years ago. It meant a lot to me, and that was a really special group we had. That year, there's a lot of other kids who are still doing really well, like in college right now. We had a great team, and I'm still best friends with a lot of those girls. Actually, one of my teammates from that team is my teammate here, Mila Butera. So yeah, it meant a lot to me. It's something that I don't take lightly. And I was really honored to be able to wear the A that season.
Yeah, and I also want to know, having that letter, it isn't just about having that letter, of course, that makes you a leader. But I do want to know, knowing that you had that letter and what it carries with it, for you personally, what does leadership mean to you?
Um, I believe leadership is just somebody who's an everydayer, like does all the little things right, when people aren't watching, and not just on the ice, off the ice. Um, and somebody who just has a lot of passion, um, brings the energy, and is someone who can kind of pave the way for others to follow.
What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned, especially making that jump from, I mean, I'm going to say the PWHL, it's the provincial, but
Yeah.
PWHL to now, NCAA? What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned both for yourself as a player, but also yourself as just also as an individual?
Yeah, I think as an individual, um like now that I'm a senior, it's crazy. Like I think just last year I remember feels like I was a freshman, but yeah, that
Yeah, I
being
was gonna
said,
ask as well, like, does it feel like you just got like you just started and here you are now
yeah,
as a
like
senior?
quick, like
Yeah.
really fast. Like time is actually flying. It's crazy. So I think that being said, like not taking any day for granted, not taking any time here for granted, my teammates are very good at reminding each other of that. The not taking like a 6 a.m. practice or a road trip, or you know a hard lift or a beep test, like not taking any of that for granted, because you're gonna blink and you'll be done. So I think just taking time to reflect and be thankful and just take a step back, like even this week, like we had a game yesterday, we're traveling tomorrow. I was telling you earlier, like I have exams, like it's kind of chaotic, but just like this is actually very good for me. I like just take a step back and like appreciate, like you know like I get to go on the road, um and just kind of be thankful.
Do you think that's something, that sort of mentality is something that has always kind of been there for you, or do you think that it's really manifested a lot more in the 4 years that you've been at LIU?
Honestly, I wish I could say I've always had this mentality, but no, like I don't think so. Like we're thinking back of like junior hockey, I definitely grew a lot like as a person and mentally. Like I definitely did not have that mindset. Um which is unfortunate. Like I wish I would have learned to think like this like a little bit younger. Cause then yeah, like I wouldn't take those moments for granted. But yeah, it's definitely something that I think I learned as I grew up and like along the way. And I've also like meeting so many new people and picking their brains and learning from other people, I think.
Yeah, so could we maybe also talk a little bit about what that experience was like? I know that it's a few years. I know it doesn't feel like it, as we've established, because it feels like a blink, and here you are as a senior. But um, when you made that jump from the PWHL to NCAA, what was that jump like for you? Did you feel like you were prepared for it? Do you feel like there was a learning curve? Did you feel like you could have done things differently? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Um, yeah, I think like here and there, of course, there's things like you can tweak and learn like always, but I would say for the most part, I felt pretty prepared and I think like Southwest did a very good job. Like I mentioned earlier, there's like a bunch of other players um who are in college right now having really good careers and I think that they prepared us very well. And even playing with those players in junior hockey, like we were very competitive with each other. Like practices were competitive, practices were hard. Um, and then games obviously too. Like it used to be the PWHL, but that league was very competitive. So I think that um, prepared me pretty well.
So, speaking of being prepared and all those sorts of things, one of the things that now I know hockey is a team sport, but it's also important to recognize when you've had that success, and you were able to, move from the PWHL into the NCAA, and now also have achieved things like, oh, I don't know, something small like Defender of the Year, for example, right? um,
Yeah.
which is absolutely incredible. I know I say it's a small, it's an incredible thing. So when you think about those things and you think about how, and you've had a ton of success in your time in NCAA. It's almost like you didn't need any help. Like you were able to get into this league and absolutely be successful right from the start. And I wanted to know, like, what do you attribute that to? Like, to that's a big jump, and to see the success that you've had is absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, I think it's something that you don't really think of. Like, you know, you're just playing game by game, week by week, series by series. And yeah, like it's something you don't really realize until like at the end of the season. It's like, oh, wow, like that was a pretty good year. But I would attribute all that to just um, like the system we have here and like from coaches to athletic trainers to our equipment manager to like our little D squad we have like and my teammates like it's just so fun to be able to play here and to be able to do that and go to the rink every day and I think um all of those people make it so easy for us as players to just go out there and do our thing and yeah like we're coached so well here and we have such a fun group of people. So I think I just consider myself lucky, honestly, to be able to play with them every day.
We alluded to it earlier, but obviously the PWHL, now we're talking about the Professional Women's Hockey League,
Yeah.
as opposed to before. But um, we've seen the PWHL. It's the first season. It was an absolutely anyone who had already previously watched women's hockey knew that it would be successful. But people
Yeah.
who hadn't watched women's hockey before, maybe were caught off guard by just how
Mhm.
incredible the sport is. And we saw tremendous growth. And we continue to see growth. There's talk of there is going to be expansion, those sorts of things. What are your thoughts as you think back to the first season and what it means for you personally, knowing, again, like we had said earlier, that there's actually an avenue now. Like, you don't have to necessarily, you don't have to wait for a national team invite, or you don't have to go overseas. Like, you could very well be playing in the best league in the world in the PWHL. What is that? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. It's weird to think that we're this far along, kind of, and like I'm 21 years old, and it's just kind of starting. The beginning stages is of the PWHL. Like, obviously it was the first season, but I think what a successful season, first of all, but it's only going to get better. Like, we're looking now, like, there's 6 teams, like you mentioned expansions, like it's only going to get bigger and better from here. And you also mentioned how cool it was for other people to watch women's hockey and be like, whoa, like this is kind of good. And I think that was really cool too. Like, as a fan point of view, like some guys I know were like, hey, like this is actually, like, this is pretty cool. And it's like just a good realization, like, of, yeah, like this is really good hockey.
And how do you see, especially now that we're seeing not just like it's a great product on the ice, but we're seeing also a lot of financial investments in women's hockey. How do you think, finally being able to see women's hockey on the stage that it's so deserved to be on? How do you
Yeah.
think also it's going to help future generations and the grassroots programs that you were a part of yourself as a kid too?
Oh yeah, I think for sure it's gonna make everything way better, like from college hockey all the way down to like the grassroots you mentioned. But yeah, like it gives younger girls a dream. Like, obviously when you're little, like it's kind of unrealistic to say you're gonna play in the NHL, but now they do have a realistic dream and something to look forward to and hope. So it's so awesome, and honestly, I'm a little jealous. Like, I wish when I was younger, like I could have this dream, but at least like I'm here for it, and yeah, it's really really cool.
As has become a tradition on this show, we always like to wrap things up with just a fun game. I wish I had a cool name for it. There's some working titles.
Gotta
20
come up
questions.
with one.
Yeah, yeah. 20 questions, but not 20 questions is where I'm at now. It doesn't really roll off the tongue as well as I'd like it to. But we are going to play a scientifically proven game to truly get to know, if we haven't already, this is proven to get to know the one and only Bri Eid. Are you ready to take this test?
I think so. I think I'm pretty ready. I don't know
Okay.
what it encounters. I hope it's not like math or anything like
No, no, no. But I do always say that I'm glad I'm on this side of it, not on that side, because I don't do
that.
well with tests. This is going to be fun. There are going to be some profound questions. There are also going to be some goofy questions. So
Awesome.
buckle up. You ready?
All right, let's go.
Okay. Now, first off, I want to know, we're going to start off with a profound question. What are you most proud of from this past season?
From this past season, um, I think obviously like didn't end the way we wanted it. It was pretty heartbreaking, but something I'm really proud of is our regular season. Like, we lost 2 games all season. That's wild, like, to think about that. Like, we were so consistent every single game, every single weekend, every single series. So that's something I'm really proud of, like how consistent we were, like day in and day out.
Spoken like a true athlete, where it isn't about you, it's about the team. So I respect that. I respect that. Um, when you reflect on your career thus far, what are some of the things that you might share as advice for young girls who are aspiring to play hockey at a high level, especially now with the PWHL?
Yeah, I think like just have fun. It sounds so cliche, but it's so easy to get sucked into the negatives and like, oh my god, like this kid on my team is doing better than me, and this kid's better, or this kid's playing more, or like I'm rushing from school to hockey. Like it's just so easy to get sucked into that, but just like be thankful and like, like be lucky, like know that you're lucky to be able to get on the ice and skate and just like do what you love and have fun. I think that honestly be my best advice.
Yeah, and I think that's advice that you can just use just generally in life,
Yeah.
So I love that. It's good. That's good advice. Um, for any sort of athlete, but specifically when we're talking about a hockey player, there is never really a true off season where you just get to like go on vacation for weeks at a time and just relax. As much as maybe sometimes you wish that was the case. But I wanted to know for you specifically, what does the off season look like for you? And how do you think, especially, we can talk about maybe just more specifically your collegiate career, how your off season has maybe changed, or how you approach the off season has changed throughout your 4 years now.
Yeah, for sure. I think it changes just basically on what you want to work on. Like for myself, uh not this summer, but 2 summers ago, I really wanted to get faster. So I was working on the track a bunch. Um like just trying to get quicker and work on speed. And then I was also shooting a lot. Um like 2 summers ago I was shooting pucks like all the time. Like I was really trying to work on my shot. And then like this summer, for example, I didn't do so much speed work. I was really trying to gain muscle and gain some weight. So I was like really trying to take advantage of my time in the gym.
All right, that's fair. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Which kind of sets us up here because this next question is gonna absolutely play into, gaining that weight, gaining that muscle. I want to know, what is your go-to pregame meal?
I thought you were gonna ask me how much I weigh for a
No,
second.
no, no. Goodness gracious, no, no, no. I just want to know what you're
uh,
eating. That's all.
uh, Honestly, I don't really have a go-to. I switch it up a lot. That's something that like I'm not superstitious at all. I don't like to be superstitious because especially in college hockey, like when we're on the road, unfortunately, like you don't have that luxury of being like, yo, I need plain pasta and chicken. But um I would say that's the most common thing I'm eating right now is just like pasta, like buttered noodles and chicken.
Okay. Do you have a cheat, like a snack that you gravitate towards?
Oh yeah. Applesauce.
Oh wow. Okay. You already had the answer before I even
Yeah.
asked it, and
Go go squeeze.
I was not expecting applesauce. I was expecting a
Yeah.
chocolate bar or something like that.
Well, applesauce, like I have like two go-go squeezes before every game and during the games. Like I hammer back applesauce. I really like applesauce.
Respect. I love it. I love it. When let's talk about this past season. During the season, who owned the dressing room music and what was played most often?
uh Definitely Mila. Like she owns the aux for sure. And you know what? It's not an easy job. She does a great job. So shout out to her, but you never know what's gonna play. Like you have no clue. It could be we could do country vibes one day, we could do like EDM, we could do rap, we could do throwbacks. Like the Sharks are constantly switching it up.
Yeah, I love that. That's what's good. You never know that you don't get too comfortable because you never know what's going to be playing in the dressing room. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good DJ right there.
One
Um,
thing that will always play though is what's that song? Empire State of Mind,
oh yeah,
obviously. Like,
yeah, of course, yeah,
that's
yeah. That's
definitely a
on brand, so that's fair.
frequent flyer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to know now more specifically towards you. What is one song that you like? Like this is your go-to song. You have to play it all the time. Like, do you have a go-to favorite all-time song? Like, if you could only pick one song, what song would that be?
I don't know if I could narrow it down to a song. Like, I think that's a hardest question maybe I've ever been asked. But I definitely have some frequent flyers like Power Glide. is it Ray Scrum? I'm not even sure who sings it, but like that's a banger that I listen to often. But when I'm, like going to a game or something, and then um I'm not sure. Like I have some favorite artists. Like I really like Drake. Um, but yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
Central C too. He's really good.
Okay. Love it. I love it. Yeah. Like I said, I always like to be on this side of it because I still don't think I would have an answer for that question. Um, um,
I'll
what
have to
is,
look what's my most played one right now.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's something that still remains on your bucket list?
Oh, wanna something on my bucket list that my mom and I actually want to do is watch a game in every single rink, like every single NHL rink. So
Okay. How far,
that's my
like,
bucket.
have you started that venture yet?
Uh, I'm not as far along as I'd like to be. I mean, I've got everything in New York, obviously, like Rangers, Islanders, Devils. I've been to the Leafs rink like a couple times, but I've never watched a game. Um, Maybe I should change the bucket list to like just go to the rink and not watch a game. But I've seen
Takes the pressure
Pittsburgh.
off of you a little bit at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Pittsburgh, Montreal, Columbus, and I think that's it. My mom has way more than I do.
Oh,
She's got like Nashville and a couple other words. So she's beating me a little bit, but that's all right.
there's still time to catch up, so that's
Yeah,
good.
there's
I want to know, lastly, what's something that people may not know about Bri Eid?
the first thing that popped in my head was nobody knows my real name. I don't know if I can say it on air, but I have a real name that's not Brie. But
Okay, that's great to know it. That's
yeah,
great to know. I love that. Okay, the
and it
secrets.
starts with an A, but that's all I can say.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll start deciphering it any minute now. We'll get there. We'll figure out what it is. But what I do want to say is, as you shared, busy off season, exams, all those sorts of things. But I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show, for sharing your story. This has been an incredible experience, and I can't believe it feels like when we talk about your collegiate career, where you feel like you just started and now you're all of a sudden a senior. I feel like we just started this conversation, and now we're at the end. And
Yeah, for sure.
I cannot thank
Flew
you
by.
enough. Yeah, and I just can't thank you enough. So thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was awesome chatting with you.
Good, yeah, and one of many conversations as we follow
For
along
sure.
your career, and I cannot wait to see your continued success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, and for Bri Eid, I'm Chris Sinclair, and this has been Rinkside Rundown. Cheers.